What do you call a pudgy psychic? A four-chin teller. Four-chin teller. Pudgy psychic. Get it?
Oh, wow.
Four chins. Yeah, okay, it was pretty bad.
Well, you gave me the pun, and I didn't even... It's like four chin and teller.
Four chin. Yeah, it's like the double chin, triple chin, four chins. Anyways, guys, this week's guest I'm super pumped about. He is a veteran. He is a firefighter. He's a dad. He's one of the nicest, the most genuine people I think I've met in quite a long time. And you and I don't know each other very well, but well enough that I've spent plenty of time with you, and you're like one of the nicest and most genuine people I've met. And it's refreshing because you're also like a badass. You're like kind of guy that I feel like might try to kill me and then save me. So anyways, guys, this is Jeff Mealor, and we're excited to have him on the show. What's up, dude?
Yeah, well, you're too kind, buddy, and I like you too.
It's funny you say that because I don't want to make you cry, but just before this, you said only my daughter can make me cry.
And it's very true. It's very true.
We'll get into the dad stuff here in a little bit. Tell us your background. Tell us your story, kind of like where you came from, where you've been, how you got here now. Who is Jeff?
Yeah, man. So, I grew up pretty normal, but I guess
Normal.
Pretty normal until,
Where'd you grow up?
DeKalb County, which is a suburb right outside of Atlanta. And actually, they're causing all the problems with the election right now. So, yeah, proud to be from there. But yeah, grew up in a suburb right outside of Atlanta. I had one sister. My dad kind of checked out at an early age, so I don't know if that's why I'm so connected.
Checked out, like he just sort of peaced out on you guys?
Yeah.
He didn't like pass away at an early age.
No,
he was like, I'm out.
Peaced out.
Interesting.
So it is interesting because I kind of think it kind of plays into how I parent myself these days. And so anyways, I'm real close with my mom, and I have a sister, super close with them. But anyways, once I became a fighting age male, for a little while I spun my wheels, just sticking around home, trying to go through college, and college was not
your path.
Not in my path, and it wasn't a thought within my family. Neither one of my parents went to college, and it's just something we didn't talk about, so it just wasn't in my path. But I spun my wheels, trying to do the right thing, and I kind of looked at some of my friends that were doing the same thing, and I didn't really like the path that they were going down, and I knew I was destined for something bigger and better than that. But right around that same timeline is when the war in Iraq kicked off, and I think this really cool movie called...
It was like early 2000s?
Yeah, and then this really cool movie came out called Black Hawk Down. Yeah, I know. I'm one of those guys. So
right.
We're out there. It's for real. So.
These movies, they're like recruiting movies.
It was. I know several Rangers they saw that movie and they're like, yes,
sign me up.
And it was actually perfect. I was like, look at these guys. I was like, they're badass. They're young. They're brothers. Like that looks like I want to do that. And so I joined the military, and right off the bat, that was my contract and my path. It's a difficult path, though. I mean, you just don't, get to sign up for it and, hey, welcome to Ranger Battalion.
Right, yeah.
But that's the path that I chose, and I was lucky enough and stubborn enough, really, to, make it through the training. And I eventually landed at 1st Ranger Battalion, which is based out of Hunter Army Airfield, Georgia, which is Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah, yeah.
So that's kind of where my roots got started down here. I was with Ranger Battalion for 4 years, but during that time, that was during the meat of OEF and OIF. So it was constant. We were constantly on ready status or being deployed. So lots of, I think I tried to keep track of it, but I think once we surpassed like 300 combat missions, like I stopped keeping
counting.
track. And I was like, okay,
we're just doing this a lot.
Yeah, and but it was great. It was a pivotal point in my life, and it gave me lots of things that, once again relate to how I parent and the kind of man I am today. So I did my time there. Lots of combat, lots of firefights. Got scuffed up a few times. Towards the end of my enlistment, I had a baby girl on the way, and she was probably about 2 months from being born, and I got wounded by an IED in Tikrit, Iraq. And I wasn't badly wounded. I mean, I was knocked unconscious, traumatic brain injury. That's what they say. I deny that. Absolutely nothing wrong with me. And
what was that incident with IED? You ran over one with a car? You stepped on something?
Well, thank God. Like, we definitely all would have died. But as the war progressed, we went from Humvees to up-armored Humvees to striker vehicles. And the striker vehicles were basically like, the Cadillacs of armored, fast-moving armored infantry vehicles at the time. So they were tanks that could go 75 miles an hour and had 8 wheels. So I mean, they were awesome.
Right.
And they say, they saved our lives. They've probably saved.
Those are the ones with like a V-shaped bottom to get the blast away.
Exactly.
I mean, interesting.
Yeah.
So what happened? Did it flip it over? Did it?
No. We ran over. It was a anti-tank mine, and we just ran over the sucker, and it
it went boom.
It went boom, and like I was standing out the top hatch, like pulling security off the side, and this isn't the first ID that I was blown up in.
It's so crazy to me. Like, anyways, keep telling your story.
No. My first ID, it was in a Humvee, and all I remember was like being like blown up, and the wheels were off the ground, and all I could think about was like, woo.
I'm not even just kidding. Like you.
Yeah. And but anyways, some people think it's funny. Some people think it's weird, but I don't know. It's how we deal with things, right?
Right.
But anyways, so this was actually probably, and I joke, but I was obviously lucky. I think this is probably like the third ID I've hit by, but this one was the biggest one. But anyways, so we were just cruising down the road. We were heading out for a mission, everything as per usual. And we hit an ID. Everybody reacted exactly how they were supposed to. Our vehicle went down. I was not the worst injured, so I just took a small amount of shrapnel. I was knocked unconscious. My eardrums were ruptured, and supposedly I have a traumatic brain injury. I don't know. But my buddy next to me, I mean, it went off right under him. And so he broke both of his legs, second and third degree burns all over his body. But the funny thing about him, and I woke up to his screaming. I know this sounds terrible, but I woke up to his screaming. I was like, oh no. I was like, this is not good. And people were pulling us out of the striker vehicle because the convoy stopped. They're obviously pulling security out to the side, trying to figure out what was going on, talking to aircraft to locate the people that did it, which they did, and found them and took care of that issue. But anyways, so we dragged my buddy Keeney out, and he was the one that was the most hurt. And of course, like, he was kind of in and out of consciousness, but he finally came to, and the medics were cutting his pants open to check everywhere for wounds and whatnot. And all he could say was just look up, and he was like, what's the word I can probably say on here? He's like, is my junk intact? That's the first thing he said. And we actually have this on helmet cam video, and you see the medic like pull the flap back, and he's like, yes. and
that's the best story.
Yeah, it's a great video for him too, because he had an impressive package. So like you pull the flap up, and the doc's like, yes, and then you see Kenny just put his head back down on the ground. Okay.
Everything's gonna be okay.
So, anyways, that's the long story.
That's
about,
hilarious
how
about that incident.
happened. But yeah, and I totally forget where I was going with
Yeah,
that.
well,
but,
so anyways, you were telling us about that. You got injured, and this was like a couple months before your daughter was born.
Exactly. So that kind of like was the catalyst for me. I was like, I've probably escaped death my fair share of times already, and I was excited about being a dad and to a little girl. It's like I said, I'm real close with my sister, my mom, and I just seem to get along on more of an emotional level with
girls.
With girls.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I was very excited about that. That last time we got hit by the ID, I was like, I think this is going to be it for me. And so I decided to exit the Army. A couple months later, my daughter was born. I had like 6 months left. And anyways, I ended up ETSing out of the Army and moved back to the Atlanta area. And, a good transition for a lot of infantry guys is, a lot of them go to the police department or the fire department because that camaraderie
Right.
and that style of job just really fits well. So I got a job in a suburban fire department where we lived at a fire station where our house that we bought was, and started to raise a family. So
what year was that when your daughter was born?
that was 2006, and then we started, I got out of the military in 2007.
Got it.
Yeah, so she's that feels like yesterday.
And it's crazy how quickly, because you were just saying she's 14 now.
She just turned 14.
Dude,
it's crazy.
That is wild.
I'm still a kid.
I know. And that's it's really funny, because when you're talking about, we get hit by this IED and I'm like, woo! Like, that's exactly, I wouldn't expect anything less from you, because knowing how you, like, this is one of the first times I met Jeff. You were working at 99. Mm-hmm. And you're like rollerblading through the office in an American flag Speedo or something. Just ridiculous. Like on rollerblades, cruising through the office.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of mileage out of that thing.
Like, he's just like the super fun party guy. Like, everything's fun and awesome. And you don't take anything too seriously, it doesn't seem like.
Never. Never. To a fault.
Right.
So,
right.
To a fault.
But I think that's what makes you so like cool and fun and nice, like, because you don't take everything seriously. Like, you're not an asshole to people. You're just kind of like going with the flow, whatever.
Yeah, girlfriends and wives.
Have you always been like that?
Yes, and
always.
Girlfriends and wives don't like it all the time. They like it. They think it's endearing at first, but then when we have issues, and I'm just like, what? Then it's a problem.
You say wives. Have you been married?
I have been married
more than once.
No.
Okay.
No, just once.
And that was the mother of your daughter.
Yes. But that plays back to I definitely don't take anything too seriously, and seldom do I, cry about things. And that's why when I said earlier, I was like, the only thing that can make me cry is my daughter. And it's true.
What happened recently? What's the most recent situation there?
All right. So like I said, she's 14 now. I have been preparing myself for this moment. Or actually, you get into the moment and you're like 6 months, 1 year into these blunder years is what I like to call them, or these mystery years. And you're like, you don't even realize it, but you've already been in it. And then something happens. Yeah, and then something happens.
This is like from preteen up to teenage, like these.
So 12, actually probably about 11, it starts creeping in.
That's where I'm at right
now.
It
keeps creeping in, and then something will happen. You're like, oh my God, I'm here.
Like, holy shit.
This is it.
This is real.
But I won't air too much of my daughter's personal life here, but she did recently get in trouble. And so, the phones are the kids' lives right now, right? And she's been privileged enough to have an iPhone. It's very important to us because I'm a single dad. My daughter lives with me. I work, so she's alone a lot, and we have to be able to connect immediately. I have to know where she is through GPS. So the phone is a privilege for her, but it's a necessity.
Especially as a parent, but as a single parent,
Yeah, absolutely.
like, holy crap.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have to have like the life locks, the net nannies, all the apps on there, so I know where she's at and everything.
Yeah.
But, um, but luckily I've been blessed. She is a very responsible child, but I think that goes back to, growing up in a single family, or single parent household. I think kids do have to kind of grow up a little bit faster in some aspects.
Yeah.
But, anyways, so she gets in, some trouble, and this was big. She's had her phone taken away before. But this was a little bit, bigger, and like a few things that I don't tolerate in my house is like, I don't punish, I discipline, because I think there's a different, like, punishment is just like, well, you did this, so you're getting that. And in my experience, it hasn't really worked, just punishment. So I try to explain this to her too, is, I discipline her. So if she does something, yes, I have to make a correction, but the whole point of it is to change the behavior, and changing the behavior is the whole discipline part. And I just want her to learn from that and change the behavior. So, basically how I explained it to her is, we have the 3 Ds, dishonor, disrespect, and I just forgot them. Dishonor, disrespect. So any of the time she breaks those is, she's going to get disciplined. And I'm drawing a blank about the 3rd D, but anyways, you get the point.
Yeah.
So, but the funny thing is so she gets disciplined. This time I think, hey, we're going to take away the phone. So I go to AT&T and I'm like, okay, so I need a flip phone. And of course the lady at AT&T, she's laughing. She's like, oh no. And she's like, what'd she do? I'm like, yeah, she wasn't good. But anyways, like, I got the flip phone, and of course, like, I don't punish my daughter out of anger as well. So like, I get the flip phone, and it does have a camera on it. So I take a selfie of myself, holding a thumbs up, like you
would do.
The screensaver, smiling all big, and I put it as her screensaver, and I put it back in the box, and then, she gets in the car. It's just like, hey, I'm like, hey, sweetie, and we've already kind of talked about.
She knew this is coming a little bit.
Discipline was coming. I just hadn't figured out what it was going to be yet. And I was like, here you go, honey. I was like, this is kind of like getting a present, And she's like, she knew what was going on, And she's like, so she opens up. She sees a flip phone. She's like, I mean, she is mad. She is so mad with me. Like, she hasn't talked to me in the last 24 hours. This is really fresh. And but you have to stay strong.
Yeah, you do. And the biggest thing is following through.
This is
100%.
I'm in it, right? Like, this is like 24 hours old, and like, she has not said I love you. She like doesn't make eye contact with me. She's not even really talking to me right now. But
It's brutal.
It is.
It's daddy's little girl too. That's your only child?
It is. It is. Yeah, you spend a decade raising this sweet little innocent, perfect angel.
Yeah.
And then this stuff starts happening. You just have to maintain your strength and just know that she will return.
She's not gone forever.
Yeah, and I'm serious about that. I think a lot of dads, and as a single dad, you can't check out. You can't check out. But I think a lot of dads struggle when they get to this age 14 and their daughters like overnight like basically disappear, because they just see them as this sweet little angel, and then all of a sudden, like, they're, for all purposes, that you could label them as a fruitcake. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying. They don't know how they're feeling. But just have the faith that now is the time where you really have to tune in and be involved.
And you have to think back to your own like experiences at that age. When we all went through that, we all had those times you're upset with your parents, and you had those, I'm not talking to you for a few days, or, whatever. So it's like, it's going to come back. And, I feel like in those type of instances that they'll come out of it. You guys will come out of it with an even tighter bond and relationship, and she'll know the boundaries and what she did wrong, and that you're not messing around. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that that's going to happen for you. And I'm saying that because I hope it helps you feel better, because I know you're in the thick of it right now. Yeah. You're like, this sucks.
Oh yeah.
But
from everything I'm read, you're right on it. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're going to come through it better. I have to imagine she has nothing but respect for you. which I think is, or maybe not. Maybe you're too friendly with her. I don't know.
No.
But I think it's important. And I think that, that's part of the mission of our company is to get dads more involved, because a lot of times, and I'm curious to hear from you on like not having a father in your life and how that sort of played out, because the common denominator we've seen with a lot of problems in society with women in particular, with daddy problems because dads didn't exist in their lives, the people out in the streets rioting and burning buildings down, like they have a lack of respect. They have a lack of a father figure in the home, because a lot of them, either their father was in prison and not around to discipline them, mom was working, kids were running the streets doing whatever they wanted, no one was telling them no one disciplined them, all these types of things that become a problem. So the fact that you're disciplining your daughter, she has respect for you, so she understands what that looks like in the world and society, and when people say you can't do that, they can't get away with it, that's super important. So I'm curious too, on your side, I think you got really lucky. You probably had an amazing mother that probably disciplined you, and thankfully you didn't fall victim of like the lack of a father at home. But I think you're over indexing because you didn't have a dad. You're trying to be the best dad you can be to your daughter. And I know that's true because every time you post a damn picture on Facebook with your daughter, like, I'm like, damn, Jeff's making us all look bad. Like, you're such a good dad. And like every year, the school pictures, and you post all of them from all the years, first day of school, from like kindergarten to now.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And I'm like, damn it, Jeff's making us all look bad. He's such a good dad,
That actually, the whole school picture thing, like I love that now, and that actually gets me a little teary-eyed whenever I see it. But that was never, wasn't on purpose planned until like 4th grade, and I look back, I was like, wait, we have the same pose every year. I was like, well, we got to keep it going now.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and I'm sure you're glad you did, because
it's great.
That's one of those things you look back at, and if you didn't have it, you probably wouldn't know any better. But now that you have it, like, you probably hold on to that.
I love it
so strong.
So I can just see her growing, and me.
Yeah.
Every year, because I mean, shoot, I was pretty young. I was 24 when I had her, so I was still, a baby in some aspects.
Right, and you thought you were the man. You had been through war, the whole 9 yards. You were like nobody. I look at myself the same way. I was 26 or 7 when I had my first daughter, and I thought, I mean, I had been in business for 10 years at that point. I was an adult as far as I was concerned, but I look back at that now. I was like, man, I was a kid. Like, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, you're still a kid too.
And I'm still a kid. I mean, I'm 35, but like, I'll look at myself in another 6, 8, 10 years and be like, man, I don't know what the hell I was doing. None of us know what we're doing.
No, but it's good, because I think you're a lot like me. Is we know how to we wear different hats, and we know how to put them on when we need to put them on. Like, you're the owner of this company, so obviously you have to be intelligent and know how to run a business, and your business is doing you something. I mean, something's going on. I mean, I don't see it, but it's happening somewhere. But and then I know you're a kid, and so, but I know you can be playful with the boys, but then you're a great dad as well, and you're able to put all 3 of those hats.
You have to. There has to be a balance between that stuff, and it's the same thing with like being friends with your kids.
Yes,
where it's like it's important to do that, because you want to develop that like personal bond and relationship with them. But at the same time, you have to be able to be like the disciplinary parent and have it be okay that they hate you and they're mad at you and all these things. Cause like she still loves you. She's not, it's not like she's running away and she's not coming back home or anything. She's just gonna be mad at you for a few days, and she'll get her phone back eventually, and everything will be fine and all this stuff.
It's a balance.
It's crazy. It's a crazy balance. And some people don't know how to balance it. And they go too far on the friend side, and they're afraid. My wife is that way. She's like, not that she won't discipline them, but not in the same level, not the same degree that I will. So my kids don't have as much respect for my wife, for their mother, the same way that they have respect for me. Because they know that like, I'll spank them. They're like, Mom's just going to yell at us. We're not getting spanked.
Right.
Like, we're just going to keep, like, I know she said to stop jumping on the couch, but what's she going to do? Where it's like, I get dad voice and like, I'm not going to say it again, and they're like, oh crap. All right, we're done.
And what's important is, I think a lot of people miss, is the relationship is extremely important. The disciplinarian parent doing actual parenting is very important. those go together in the younger years because you're just like you said, your kid will respect you and respect that you will discipline them. In the older years, when they're too old for you to discipline them, it's the weight of how they view you and your relationship. You're able to weigh that against them.
In those younger years too, you built that core foundation, right?
Yeah.
So that transitions into those older years. And I think it's super interesting. And that's why I think what we do is so significant. And I didn't understand even the significance in what we were doing until we had Gary Vee on the podcast. And he's like, you realize what you're doing is getting dads more involved from day one.
Yes.
You're not letting them they're not waiting until they're 4 and 5 years old to where it's fun or riding bikes and playing with Power Wheels or whatever the case is. Like, they're pumped to change a diaper on day one. They start building that relationship day one.
Yes.
And they're like jacked about it instead of like, I'm not changing no diapers. You know
what I mean? It makes it fun.
It's a totally different experience.
It's a new generation of fathers.
And I knew that we were getting dads involved early on, but it wasn't until I heard it from someone else that way that I was like, he's right. Like, I think we subconsciously knew that we were doing that, but we couldn't have articulated that. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's super
I bet that was an
interesting.
awesome moment too.
It was a light bulb moment that like really changed the way we think about things and the way we articulate, our brand message and stuff. Even Dakota Mayer, like we had Dakota on the podcast. He came here and we went out to dinner and he's like, the only reason I came here, he flew himself here, came here, we did the podcast, took him out to dinner. I put him up in a hotel or whatever. He's like, I'm only here because forgive me, everyone listening, if you've heard me tell the story before. He's like, but you guys are setting a standard for what good parents look like. He's like, I didn't know what a good parent looked like. I had a shitty childhood. I grew up in a trailer where my mom was growing weed in the closet. Cops were kicking the door in once a week. Like, I didn't know I thought that was normal. Like, I didn't know that was, I thought everybody had that childhood. I didn't know, but like, you guys are making it very public and setting a new standard publicly of what good parenting looks like. And I respect that. And I think that it's polarizing where people are like, oh shit. Like so it's just super interesting where like, damn, he's right. We are like trying to set a standard for like what good dads look like, that you should be involved. It's okay to be involved. It's
cool to be involved.
It's cool to be involved. It's a better society when dads are involved.
And dads are fun.
Hell yeah, dude. It's the best. It's the most fun shit ever.
We are the best.
It's the best. But at any rate, not to talk about us so much, but it's just like how it all comes full circle. The other thing that has so much weight too is like when you're a father raising a daughter.
Yeah.
It's a different dynamic. And I know how I feel about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you probably feel the same way. If you are raising your daughter in a way that you are teaching her what a good man looks like, what respect looks like from a man, like I'm sure you respect your daughter, and you want to be the role model of type of person she marries one day. Do you look at it that way?
Absolutely. I mean, I make sure that I intentionally date my daughter at least like once a week. So, our thing is like Thursday nights. Our thing is we basically rate the Mexican restaurants in the area. So Thursday night's like our date night. I mean, we don't get dressed up or anything, but we make sure we go out to dinner and we put the phones down, we talk to each other. And it's kind of like our date night. I've always done that. Probably, since I've had her by myself since first grade. So, really for the last 7 years, like I try to always weekly date my daughter. And I think that's very important.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You guys must go to like meat tierras all the time.
Yeah, we do like meat tierras.
They got good quesadillas.
It's pretty good. But yeah, so we're going to have to switch it up soon because we basically have probably hit all the Mexican in the area.
Like a 15-mile radius.
It's great. We both love Mexican. It's great.
Funny. I go to Moe's.
I know you do. You're always at Moe's.
I was just there today.
I'm more of a Chipotle guy.
Oh, man. This is where I thought we could be friends still. And clearly I was wrong. So, all right. So let's talk about your mom. Let's talk about you had your single mom. I assume. Was your dad in the house? Or were they divorced and he just like wasn't really
involved? It was basically like he was around up until basically my sister and I started becoming teenagers. So he was around for a while. And then, but those were some pivotal years, 13, 14, 15. And when he pieced out, and going back to like, I think how that affected me and how I parent is I saw my sister more than myself missing out on things that she needed, missing out on, I wish, dad was here, or, someone was here for my sister.
She's an older sister?
Yeah, she's older.
How much older?
2 years.
Okay.
So, we're very close.
Yeah.
But, she was probably like in 8th grade, I think, when he was like basically checking out. Those are some pretty important years for girls.
Yeah, well, and for boys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot going on in that.
But I never saw it
age.
for myself. I saw it for my sister.
You're a selfless dude, though. You don't care about yourself.
Right.
I mean, so, go ahead.
So I think that carries on, when I had my daughter, I'm like, I'm going to give her, everything she needs, not everything she wants, but everything she needs. I'm going to give her all the experiences. I'm going to set the example, be the role model she needs. And, I put work in, like, cause obviously I just don't know how to do that by myself. I know how to love. That's pretty easy. I know how to smile. That's pretty easy. But, I've had to, read books, go to therapy, just to talk about, raising a girl. And like, still, my daughter and I, once a month, just because I know I can't give her everything that she needs. We'll go to a therapist once a month together sometimes, and then her by herself a lot of the times. Not that there's anything wrong with her or me, but just so she can talk to a third party. And
so does she doesn't see her mom?
She does, not too often, not often enough. I'm always willing to facilitate any kind of visitation. Without getting into it, her mom has some issues. Her mom does love her daughter, so that's great. But she has some issues, but she sees her mom. So
right. So she gets some of that interaction with her mom.
She does
when that happens. It's a little disconnected.
It's not good though. It's more like, since mom doesn't see her that often and has like some issues, it's more like a teenage best friend, and that's not what she needs from mom.
Nah, she needs a mom.
But
it's got to be hard for you, man.
Yeah,
it's got to be super hard for you. And does your daughter take that hard? Does she understand that she needs that, or do you recognize that she needs that like therapy time? Or
I recognize it. I don't think she recognizes it yet.
That it's important to have that for her.
Yeah, a female unbiased perspective, on something. She needs that. Yeah. I mean, I think so. But,
how does it play out when you've had girlfriends and stuff? Do they meet your daughter and do they interact at all?
Yeah, if it gets serious, like obviously I don't introduce, I've been single for the last 7 years, so I've had girlfriends, but, if it gets serious, like to around that 6-month mark or something, you have to introduce them.
Yeah, it's such a huge part of your life.
How can you do life? And never had a negative experience with that.
Right.
So it's always been a positive experience.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And I think about that too, even with like Jade, for example. My assistant, she's a single mom with a daughter. So she's kind of the opposite where, thankfully her dad's around. She sees her dad a lot, but she still at times at home as a single mom, like has to be the dad too. And Jade has no problem being the dad. She's like, she's a Marine. She's like probably better off. I know you're listening over there. Like she's probably better off, easier to be a dad than a mom probably at sometimes because she's so hardcore badass. But
I can see that. But I mean, I'm not going to say one is harder than the other.
It's just an interesting dynamic. It's a different, I feel like it's a different hat. Like you were talking about earlier, like you have to wear different hats. Oh. And for single parents, I feel like you have to wear the mom hat and the dad hat at sometimes.
Yeah, but with fathers raising daughters, you just have to kind of raise those estrogen levels a little bit, get a little more on the emotional level because, we are not the same. Men and women are not the same. Mm-mm. So you really have to, be conscious of that. And,
dig deep for your inner. Yeah.
And I think I've done a decent job because I am I can be rough and tough, but I'm soft and sweet too. Uh-huh. And that's how I like to be with my daughter, unless Yeah, unless she needs her phone taken away or something like that.
Let's talk about phones. I'm at this crossroad with phones with my damn daughter. She's 9.5, and for the last 2 years, she just wants a phone. She wanted the iPhone 11 because it was everything that everyone was talking about on YouTube and other kids and all these fucking kids channels on YouTube and all. Anyways, she wants a phone, and I'm like, nope, it ain't happening. Don't think so. And then now she's 9, and she's like, well, I'm 9 now. I swear. She's like, I know you don't think I'm responsible enough and all these things. I'm like, no, you don't need a phone. You're not going anywhere. You're not left by yourself anywhere. You've got an iPad. It does everything a phone can do. You've got a laptop. It can do more than both of those things. Like, you don't need a phone. Because I know that she'll be glued to the phone even more than, and like we limit some of the time on those devices, you know, but like, she's super smart. She's very capable of doing all kinds of things. But like, I'm not ready for the phone. I feel like that. And she's like, but all my other friends have. I'm like, why do all these 8 and 9-year-olds have freaking iPhones? Am I missing something? Am I just late to the party?
No, you're not. And once you go phone,
you can't go back.
It's extremely difficult to go back. And she does not need a phone right now. If I could go back, like, I would have waited a lot longer to give her a phone. I did it out of necessity originally because her mom lived in Atlanta. I live down here. So I thought it was nice that
you could contact her.
Yeah, or her mom could contact her directly and not have to go through me. And so
How old was she then?
I gave them that independence. She was about 9.
Yeah.
So
it's early, right?
It's too early.
Yeah. But it wasn't. It was like an iPhone or some sort of.
And there was a sign that should have told me that it was too early. Well, first of all, I made her do a scavenger hunt to find her phone, and she found it. And it was pretty cool. That was like pretty heartwarming moment. But anyways, then after that, like beautiful, like moment where she got her phone and it started ringing in the Christmas tree, and it was like
cool.
Yeah, it was all fun, but. There was a sign that told me that this was a bad choice, Dad, because like she gets her phone, she pulls it out of the box, she runs out into the backyard, like for some reason, and she's looking down at her phone, and the dogs had just left out the back door with her, and they were doing their victory lap because that's what dogs do when they get let outside. And like they round turn 3, and I see them, round turn 3, and they're coming back towards the house where she's standing, and she has her back turned. And I'm like, oh no, they're gonna wipe her out. And as I'm walking towards her, they take her legs out. She flies up in the air. Phone goes flying. She hits her head on the concrete, gets knocked unconscious. And I'm like running to her, and like I missed her like by a half step, and I'm leaning over her, and I see her like look at me and then close her eyes and go unconscious. And my mom was inside because it was around Christmas time. And I pick her up, and I'm like, call 911. And, with full intentions of, having them come out. And so I bring her in, I put her on the couch. Like, she wasn't even breathing. I was like, so I was getting a little panic. And, but anyways, about 30 seconds went by, very long 30 seconds.
The longest 30 seconds.
Yeah. And then she kind of wakes up, takes a deep breath. And I was like, oh God, thanks. And, I kind of checked her out and assessed her, canceled the ambulance. I did end up taking her to the hospital, but I figured it was fine to take her by POV. And but anyways, the first thing that she says
is my phone okay?
Is my phone okay? I'm like, good. Great.
Hey, she's got her priorities. It's like your homies. Like, is my junk intact?
Exactly. No.
It's the first thought.
Those two should not be the same. Anyways.
This is not the same priority level.
I know. But anyways, back to what you were saying, man.
No, but
if I could go back.
They're like gold. I mean, they're the lifeline to the world for every single one of us. Like, without my phone, I am like I don't know what to do. Like, I'll find something to do. And there's times I just want to throw it out the window anyways. But like, kids become so dependent on their phone at such a young age. And it's like, come on. It's scary. It terrifies me because there's stuff on the, like, you can try to protect, like, okay, you talked about apps. Let's talk about apps because that's important. There's a lot of apps out there. What I don't know about many of them really. So what are you using? What do you like? What do you don't like? What are things that are important to you to know about your daughter?
There's really not a very like all-purpose, a good one for iPhones. Cause it can't like, I want to see like what pictures are incoming and that kind of stuff. And like, I don't want to be in her business all the time, but I want her to
super
know
privacy
I want her to know that
you can.
I can. And I intentionally give her
space.
I don't want to be all up in her business. I want to be able to trust her. Trust between a dad and a daughter is huge.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
I heard a quote recently that, and I'm going to completely butcher this.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to completely butcher it, but it's going to get the point across. I want my daughter, I want to be the kind of dad, and I want to instill the right things in my daughter where she's not like, my dad's going to kill me if he finds out about this.
Yes.
I want it to be, I need to tell my dad about this.
Yes.
That I was like, oh my, holy shit. That's
no,
holy fuck.
It's true. Like when they get older and they find themselves in a situation, exactly what you were saying, you don't want them to be like, oh crap, I can't let my dad find out about this. It's like the thing that should pop up in their head is, I need to call my dad.
Yeah.
And it takes training. You have to train them because their instinct is to hide it and lie. So you have to start, now with your 9-year-old, because and I've done a few things, like she's lied to me a couple times about some things that I thought were big issues, and I didn't come down as hard on her as I would have liked to, because I wanted to show her my grace and not to be afraid. Like, look, I'm gonna love you and support you first.
Yeah.
Make sure you're okay. We'll finish.
Deal with the other stuff later.
The discipline later.
That's hard to do too, because you're going into that, like we go into it with the right intention, but with zero idea how to actually deal with it and what you're doing. Like, is what I'm about to do going to be effective, or am I doing it completely wrong? No one knows.
Nope.
There is not like open instruction manual to page 37 to figure out how to deal with this. It doesn't exist. Yeah. This doesn't exist.
And what works with one kid won't work with the other.
Oh,
so that's
it's crazy.
It's parent life, man.
Dude, it's not fun at times. There's a lot of shit, and like that's why we have that. Sure,
it's
embrace
the most
suck.
It's like it's the best thing, the craziest thing. Like, to put it into perspective, like, I mean, I was kind of on my own as an individual, like at 17 years old, paying for rent, finding my way through life. Then I was in the Army, did over 300 combat missions. Then I was a firefighter. Working. I actually worked at 2 fire departments full time, so I would work 48 hours and get 24 hours off, and I was in school at one point. All of that was not too much for my plate. What finally broke me was about 2 years after my wife and I divorced, and I was raising Taylor by myself. So I was like I was 33 years old, and it took me about 6 months to realize that I was dealing with anxiety issues. And for 6 months, I was like, why am I so dizzy? Why am I so tired? Like, what is going on with me? Is it my blood pressure? Is it my, blood sugar? And it took me 6 months, like, to figure it out. I thought something was wrong with my ear for balance. And it's the anxiety. Like, and the doctor finally explained to me, he's like, Jeff, you've been going 110 miles an hour your whole life. And this is, there's nothing wrong with you. He's like, this is your body's way of telling you.
Slow down.
Yeah. And make a change. And I did make a change. That's when I got out of the fire service and changed jobs to more of a 9-to-5. And that's kind of where I got involved with the business world.
And that's when you were at 9 Line?
Yeah. But I mean, that kind of puts it in perspective. I did some pretty crazy things, in my 20s, and not until I was a single parent. That's what broke me. And I say broke me, like,
but yeah, it was a big shock.
Yeah, because I've never had any issues with anxiety, and anxiety affects people differently. The way it affects me is I basically just kind of get lightheaded and dizzy, and just kind of need to chill out for a little while. And but I was not used to that, and I did not like that. And my body forced me to.
I kind of get the same way. I've never been like diagnosed by a doctor or anybody with anxiety. I just feel that anxiousness come over me. And it treats me differently, and it's like I get affected by, like, I carry it in my shoulders, my traps. Like I'm like carrying my shoulders up really high and tight a lot, and my breathe, like I can't breathe. I'm like, I have to like take really big deep breaths to like feel like I can breathe, and my chest is just real heavy, and I'm just like anxious, just like stress. You know what I mean? Because like we got 400 million things going around here, and the kids this and that, like whatever the case is, like I feel it even today. Like I'm we have 1,000 things we're trying to do right now. Like at the time of recording this, oh no, people aren't even going to know by Veterans. No, by Veterans Day they'll know. We're going to have to beep it out if not. But with my, with trying to put out the baby announcement for having a baby, with Veterans Day stuff going on, with releasing all these new patches, with just like a bunch of stuff, new product, this and da-da-da. A lot's happening right now. And there's just not enough time in the day to do it. And I can't not be home because I got to help take care of the kids because my wife has zero energy because she's in the first trimester and sick. And they're like, ugh. And so I'm like running the business, running things at home. Kids are homeschooled. My wife's like, forget about this. Like, it's crazy. It's just more the election. Come on.
Yeah.
2020, man.
It is
2020. How's all that treated you? Let's talk about COVID for like 5 seconds because I think everyone's sick of it. But
no, man, I've literally people probably won't like this. I basically should have been like the spokesperson for someone that should have gotten COVID, but I have not gotten it. Like,
why do you say that? Because
I was working the door as security on St. Patty's Day on River Street, checking IDs, and that's like when it was first blowing up. Never got anything,
Yeah.
Just being a firefighter, being at work, checking in on all those people. Like,
have you treated anybody with it?
Yeah,
really.
I got nothing. So I don't know. I think
you're a super healthy dude.
It might be a myth. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm just
fake news. It's over now. Today's the 5th. I mean, no one's gotten COVID for at least 2 days now.
I think you're right.
Oh my God,
that's crazy. But yeah,
how about at the beginning of it? Did you go on like the whole Joe Exotic binge watch?
I did. Yeah, that was a great time,
dude. That was the first few weeks were a blast.
That was fun COVID time.
Yeah, and then it was like, all right, this is going on too long. All right, screw this. Like the first few weeks weren't like. I was really hoping that some people with COVID might turn into zombies and turn into a zombie apocalypse, and they'll be like, we've been waiting for this forever.
Yeah, I was
just kidding about that.
And it seems like so long ago. I was still working at 9 Line then, and like they finally, like Tyler finally pulled the trigger and was like, okay, I guess y'all can work from home for 2 weeks because that's what
everyone's supposed to be doing.
We're supposed to be doing.
You guys had a huge mask initiative going on too.
We did at the time.
That was probably a bit stressful.
Yeah,
because everyone was scrambling.
Oh, geez, it's always fun at 9 Line, but always stressful because
seems like it's always a scramble.
Well, Tyler's
new
crazy
big
man.
idea. Yeah, I know what we can do. He's kind of like me. I have these ideas too.
Yeah, he's a really smart squirrel. Like he's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But yeah, that's enough about Tyler. Love him.
So. Yeah, no, he's the best. He's a trip. Yeah, damn Tiger King. That was like the best thing. The timing of that couldn't have been more perfect for Netflix.
Oh yeah.
With that coming out during like a quarantine. It was like the #1 thing ever. And now there's memes. Have you seen any of the memes around the election? It was like this whole thing's rigged. You know whose fault it is? And it's like Joe Exotic. that bitch, Carol Baskin.
That'll probably be around for years.
And there was a lot of Halloween costumes too. And some people did it way better than others. But
yeah, I feel like if you were going to do that costume, you had to do 110%.
The best one I saw, who's Aldean? Who's the country singer?
Jason Aldean.
Yeah. He did it. Him and Brittany, his wife, they did it pretty good. He had like the knee brace on, the guitar. He was doing the whole country music radio, like video. It was so good. It was really good.
Well, as he should.
Yes.
He's a millionaire.
Right.
So
they did it. They did it right.
Well, good.
It was excellent.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So what's up with your daughter, school and all that stuff?
Tiger King and toilet paper. Those good times.
I heard toilet paper was a thing again.
Good times.
With the election and people freaking out about riots and stuff.
I don't even care. I've gone full bidet at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're like, well, bidets used to be expensive. Now they're like $200. You just slap that puppy on. It's great.
It's like a toilet seat cover. It's
great.
Hook up some water to it.
Yeah, it's great. You should.
I should order one right now.
Different pressure modes. You should. So, I mean, once you do it, you're like, what have I been doing for all these years?
Yeah, like never going back.
Anyways, I digress. But, daughter, school. Oh my gosh,
Did you have to do the homeschool stuff?
Yes, we're still doing it. I'm still 100% virtual.
Yeah, 100%. What school? Well, I won't say what school she's
going to. Well, we had the choice. It started off 100% virtual, then we had the choice to do a hybrid. So that was
Yep.
hybrid was
2 days a week.
well, hybrid was
You're still in Beaufort County?
Stupid, yeah.
Schools.
2 days at home, unsupervised on your own. 1 day Zoom, and 2 days at school, basically to review what you did on your own those first 2 days. Okay, so we did start doing that, and it was just
It's a shit show.
it was stupid.
Nobody's learning
It was
anything.
stupid.
The whole thing. It's
So
a disaster.
We went back to 100% virtual, which is still a shit show, but it's better than the hybrid was just a complete joke. Like at least now, 5 days a week, she is in a Zoom meeting with a teacher at least. It's versus 2 days a week or 3 days a
The
week.
beginning of it last year, at the end of last school year, when the whole thing started, and it was like, yeah, well, now all the parents are teachers. How did you like? I'm not a good teacher. My wife's not a good teacher.
And kids don't
Kids
like to be taught by
Their parents. So it was like that was a mess, and it was just kind of like we're just gonna whatever. Everyone passes next grade. We'll figure it out later, and then it's all virtual. And they've done a little bit better job. At least there was a teacher instructing the kids. But the first few weeks, like my youngest daughter, I couldn't get her to sit still. She was all over the place. She had zero interest in it. She was fidgeting with everything.
Oh,
It was kicking, screaming. It was awful. I was like, this is awful. We need to open these schools. No kid is learning anything in this type of environment.
no, they're not. And, there's different struggles with the different age groups. Like you said, your younger one, she's fidgeting. She's all over the place. Well, mine's in 8th grade, so she's, can take care of things and focus a little bit better. But at the same time, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, these are huge years prepping for her high school career, which inevitably leads
Sets
to
you
a
up.
college
Yeah.
career. 8th grade, I mean, she's not learning crap. So she's missing,
Some really core stuff.
yes. And it's really concerning me. And then she's failing like several classes, but it's not even her fault. And it takes my time. Like I probably spend an hour and a half a day emailing back and forth with teachers. Being like, and I'm not trying to blame the teachers because
They probably hate it too. I have to imagine.
I'm sure they do. But, they have to keep track of things in different ways. But it's like the students, they're saying that she's missing all these assignments. And when I look at it, I'm like, the assignments are done. And like, they don't get recorded. And I'm like, y'all have to keep these grades. Because when I log on and I see that she has a 46, I freak out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then I get mad at her.
Just happened to us. The same thing just happened to us because we're in the same boat, right? We got 2 days of school in person, and then 3 days. So that's Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is at home, and they're supposed to be like self-learning situations because the teacher is in person teaching the other kids on Thursdays and Fridays. Right. It's a mess. It's a hot mess. And we had a parent teacher conference with the teacher the other day. She's like, she has a 65 in this class, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm looking at my daughter. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I did those assignments. She's like, the problem is there's assignments in there that they're doing in class Monday and Tuesday that the virtual kids are supposed to be doing. So she is like logged in as like this virtual assignment that they're actually doing in person in class, but it doesn't get turned in virtually because she turned it in class. So it shows that she's not doing these assignments. So the grades are getting recorded as if she didn't do it because it's a disaster. And I'm like, why are you not, you are lying to me. You're telling me all your work is done, all this stuff. She's like, I did it. I'm like, the teacher said you didn't do it.
Exact conversation with the daughter.
Right?
With mine.
It's so frustrating. I just want to beat my head against the wall because you feel like the worst parent.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, teacher, like what am I missing? Where can I log in to make sure that I can see what work she's supposed to be doing? Because you guys want all the responsibility to be on the kids and you don't want us doing too much of their work for them and all these things. Where can I see what assignment she has so that I can follow up and say, hey, did you get this done? Did you get this done? She's like, well, she knows where to show you that. And I'm like, okay, great. But I don't want to have to go through her computer and all these crap and log in this stuff. Like, is there not like a parent portal that's like, this is all the grades and their assignments and this is what's done and whatnot? Like, just give me a snapshot of her school situation. I don't want to log into every Google Classroom link to find, like, no.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Well, you're not alone because I literally had
the exact same.
And it's frustrating though because my poor daughter, she's frustrated with me because, I'm attacking her. It's created tension in our house because she's like, I'm basically calling her a liar.
Right. And she's like, Dad, I'm not lying. I'm doing it.
I'm like, I just talked to your teacher.
Right. It sucks. It sucks.
It does, man.
Oh my gosh. Well, so what you doing? You're a firefighter again.
Yeah.
How's it going?
I love it. When I left it 4 years ago, I left for a reason. Like, I couldn't raise a daughter at her age then, being a firefighter.
Working 24-hour shifts.
Yeah, and then on that salary. So I made some changes and worked in the business world for 4 years. I got to work at some awesome companies though.
Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Met some great people.
I mean,
have an awesome network.
That's why
hey, you got to meet me.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
I was just saying.
Exactly. And like, that's what's, I was telling you earlier, like people think I'm like so silly because I seem to change like careers like every like 5 years, and it's kind of true. But I'm like a journeyman though, and I was kind of like telling you, I have like 12 years experience as a firefighter. I left it, got out of it, and went into the business world. Successful in the business world, had tons of fun, but decided that my heart was more in to what the firefighting world has to offer. Went back to it, but in the firefighting world, you have to kind of start from day one again. So people were like, I don't have day one experience, but you walk in the door as day one. It's just the way it goes. And so that's funny. But people make fun of me. I was like, when I try to explain to people, it's like, I don't live life like on this, straight, linear line.
Linear path,
yeah. It's like, I'm kind of like a squirrel too, in an aspect where when I see an adventure, when I see fun, like as long as I can responsibly do it and support myself and my family, I'm going to go do it. Because at the end of the day, like life is short. I'm here for a short time.
You want to have fun doing it.
Yeah, I'm here for a good time.
I'm the same way. I don't change careers or any of that kind of stuff often. But like I'm looking for fun. Like I don't care about money. Like money is great because it affords the ability to have fun. Like money can create fun situations.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's awesome. But like I'm just trying to have fun. I'm just trying to have a good time and
fun and fulfillment.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it is that it's really about for me at the end of the day. But yeah, it's crazy stuff, man.
Yeah. So, and I've had an adventurous life. I've met some great people, worked at some great companies. I mean, done just, that
stuff you shouldn't have done.
Yeah. The antics I got to do at Nine Line and got away with it. Now, Nine Line used to not have an HR, so you could get
away with
a lot more, but then they, have to have an HR now. And so,
I know I get in trouble here all the time.
Yes.
I send text messages to the group, like company chat, and then I usually get another text back privately from an unnamed person that's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I get in trouble with my own company all the time. I'm like,
I did not know I could not do that, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My bad. Being a firefighter, I mentioned earlier that you were a selfless person. I think that's how I would identify you. I don't know if you feel that way about yourself, because you seem like the kind of guy who's going to jump in harm's way to help other people. You're going to make sure everyone else around you is good before you worry about yourself, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
like I think your military career was based on that. You were fighting for our country. Like you were there to have fun because it was an adventure for you, for sure.
Absolute adventure.
Like, this looks badass and cool. I want to do it. Right.
Yeah.
But there's ultimately, like, you were going to make sure that everyone else around you was taken care of before you were more concerned about yourself. Same with the fire department. I think the other person who we had here, again, Dakota Mayer, who is like, he has this unbelievable sense of responsibility for other humans and is not concerned with himself whatsoever. Is very interesting. Which is why somebody like that gets a Medal of Honor, whatever. But
it is interesting. And
you ever think about that? Or has anyone ever said that to you?
No, yeah, they have. And I do think about that. And
I think that's what led you back to the fire department.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
You like to help other people.
I have more fulfillment, more reward out of that. Absolutely. but I think maybe you're just born with it. Like I'm just kind of a natural protector. Like, I don't know how well I can do it, but I naturally do want to protect people. And that's from like, when you're at a bar and a fight breaks out, it's like my first instinct is to, just break it up and protect the person that's
getting beat up.
Getting beat up, And same thing, like my daughter, she makes fun of me now because for some reason my daughter and I, like, we have rolled up on fresh car accidents like
Really?
so many times together, and like of course, like, I always stop and like take control and like of the situation, make sure everybody's okay. And she's usually like immediately like calling somebody. She's like, Dad's left me in the car again to go rescue some people. Like she was like 6 years old one time and we were hanging out at the park, and I heard, a car wreck. Well, a car had driven through the front of a building front, like a Starbucks or something, just crashed through the glass is shattering. And like, there was this piano on the sidewalk, and that's where I was sitting with Taylor, and we were just like sitting there playing around the piano. She was 6, eating ice cream. I heard the crash and I just popped up and like ran over to
see what was up,
to make sure everything was okay. Just left my daughter there. we still laugh about that, but
that's pretty funny.
Sorry, honey. I love you.
That is too funny.
But
so speaking of being selfless, there's obviously things that you do for yourself. What are you into? What are your hobbies?
Yeah,
aside from lift heavy pet dogs.
Well, I wish we hadn't said besides that, because that is one of my big hobbies. Well, we have 2 dogs and I love our dogs, and spending time with them is a lot of fun for me. And I mean, I love dogs. They're like the most selfless creatures.
And they don't hardly talk back.
Oh man, they're awesome. They always think you're awesome, like no matter what. It's great.
Jeff's cheerleaders.
Yeah. So I do love dogs, spending time with them, and I do like to lift heavy, so to speak, or work out. I'm actually in my downtime, I'm a trainer at one of the gyms in the local area.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So do that. Yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow, because tomorrow is one of my off days from the fire department. So I kind of keep myself, active by doing that. So cool. Fitness is a big part of my life, and really, I mean, just all else I have time for is just creating tiny little adventures with my daughter, which is really, I think that's my favorite thing.
Right.
Like the other day, and then around here, it's great. Like we went hunting for shark teeth the other day. That's super fun. Yeah. So, and it can consume a lot of time, and it's beautiful scenery, but did that, go crabbing, just anything.
There's a lot of outdoor stuff to do around here.
Yeah. Anything on the water.
Yeah.
That's what since we've moved down here, that's what we really try to embrace, the low country lifestyle.
You have a boat?
No, we don't.
Oh, you'll have to come out on the boat with us.
But
we'll get the girls together. They'll have a blast.
But I rent boats. That'd be awesome. Yeah. I definitely rent boats. I don't know what's cheaper to own a boat.
Does your daughter babysit?
She is of babysitting age. Yeah.
Might have to put some cash in her pocket.
Yep. She already has one client. So.
Oh, snap.
Mm-hmm. So cool. I know she's got to start pulling her weight around the house.
I know.
For real.
She got to pay that cell phone bill. That's going to be the next responsibility. You want to keep that phone? You better pay for it.
That's a good idea. I hadn't even thought about that yet.
Start working her way up to that car.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want a car? You might have.
You know what's bad about the phone is, like, it was her birthday recently, and one of the things on her birthday list was to upgrade her phone to the
newest,
iPhone
whatever.
12 Pro or whatever. And I was actually considering it, right? And but instead we got in trouble and we got the flip phone. So she is so mad.
No wonder she won't talk to you. Like, I wanted the new phone. I just got downgraded to like a Nokia,
it's
Motorola
so
flip,
bad.
whatever.
Like, I took this little video and like I posted it on Instagram. Like, I was like, my sweet little angel got in trouble, and I flipped open the phone. It was my picture on there, with the thumbs up, and like everybody's like dying. I was like, I really do love you, honey. Like, it's typical dad love.
Yeah. Oh gosh, cool, awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming and chatting.
Yeah, man. Well,
fun.
We've been trying to get together for a while just to
I know. I was just running to
hang
a coffee
out.
shop somewhere.
You know, I
It's
know,
like-
I know, but you know, it's life, man.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Always so busy.
But
so
we appreciate your service. Happy
Yeah.
Veterans Day.
yes,
And yeah, we'll have you
Yeah.
on again soon.
never
We'll see how
forgotten.
we'll pick up the story of the phone story, how
Yeah.
it plays out.
I know. I hope she's talking to me by then.
Yeah. All right, cool. Guys, thanks for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave your ratings, reviews, comments, all the things. I would appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.
All right.